Dansk Melodi Grand Prix DMGP, the Danish national selection for Eurovision, takes place on Saturday, February 10th, and today on Monday, February 5th, we finally got the songs, or the snippets, depending on whether you were geo-blocked or not. In any case, it's time to go around and name our top three. You guys ready? Let's do
this.
Do this!
You guys, just a general question. I'm curious whether you think this national selection is stronger than in years past, the same, weaker, because there was a lot said that they were revamping this year and they were going to try to get back to the semifinal. Do you think they've achieved their goal? Dish.
Well, when I was tasked with listening to the 10 songs for the purposes of this video, I didn't have much time, so I decided to be like your sister and take the approach and just listen, and if I don't get grabbed instantly, it's gone. I did that, and luckily 3 songs made the cut. 7 of them got dumped. The 3 songs I think are quite strong, and they would do quite well in another selection. But given all the publicity that's being out about this revamp and it being stronger than other years, it is somewhat disappointing, and it's not as good as if we think back to 2016 when we had Heart-Shaped Hole.
Still makes me laugh.
Never Alone. Yeah, and that was a very strong selection until Soldiers of Love came and ruined it. Yeah, so I don't think it's living up to the hype, but it's not an atrocious selection either.
It's certainly better. There was that year in 2015, and it ended up between Anti-Social Media and that terrible Anne Gadagard song. And like that was the best that they had.
Oh,
so
I
it's
like
definitely
Suitcase. That shit was good.
Yeah, I know a lot of people did, but I didn't. But yeah, that was like a 1 or 2 song selection. At least this one, there's kind of a few that people seem to be talking about, but it's nowhere near. A lot of other countries were revamping their selection this year. I mean, Switzerland did it and kind of came up with a general overall better show. This doesn't feel like they've really made a big step up. Yeah, it's I kind of was expecting more, and they've been hyping it up so much. I kind of feel like they maybe overhyped it themselves. But yeah, it's better than some, but it's nowhere near like the sudden we're going to be back in the top 10 level like they were talking about.
I blame Spotify. Honestly, everything sounds the same. Literally, it sounds like these songs are written by an algorithm so that they can do well on Spotify, and it's in many national selections like that, and it makes it hard to have something stand out, but there are a few that I think are okay. We always have copyright issues if we include Danish songs or snippets and then the video's blocked in like 95 countries, so we're not going to include any music. So if you want to hear the songs, go on Spotify or search on YouTube. We just can't risk putting them in this video. Apologies! In any case, let's start with our number 3, Porig.
My number 3 is called Starlight, and it's by Anna Ritzmar. It's a nice, sweet, innocent song. We've heard it a lot before. It's nothing new or revolutionary, but I like it. It puts me in a good mood, and it's got a relatively catchy hook compared to some of the other songs, and she gets into the chorus quite quickly. A lot of the other songs in this selection kind of drag on for a bit, and it takes them a long time to get to the chorus, and I can't be dealing with that. So she gets points for that. And it's not a song that I feel the urge to skip straight away. And I can kind of still, the Starlight is still going around in my head because a lot of these songs are very forgettable, but I remember this one.
So my number 3 is Albin Freddy with I can't remember what the song is called now. I don't remember what the song is called.
It's very Oh Brother Where Art Thou, that one.
Yeah, it's something. Well, here's the thing. This is the problem that I've got with a lot of the songs. Is that I've heard them all twice now, and there's only 2 that really stand out. So this is kind of my number 3 by virtue of I vaguely remembered it, and I remember his name, which is better than most of the other acts. Yeah, it sounds a lot like there's an Alvaro Soler song that it sounds really a lot like, and all of these songs sound like something else. Like I don't think there's one song in this selection that I feel like I've not heard before. So yeah, it's fine. The whistling annoys me. It's something like "On the Road," "Song for the Road," or I think that might be it.
Seb Alter
yeah,
updated for 2018.
Yeah, it really is, and it's fine, and I don't mind it for the 3 minutes. I've seen a lot of people talking like this could be the underdog. I don't see it, and I think if it went to there's too many blank moments in the song where it's just like the whistling by itself, or there's a little bit of instrumentation, and I kind of feel like that would just get completely lost on a Eurovision stage. Like unless they have some really good staging for this, I can see it just very quickly passing by. But it stood out enough for me to put it in my top 3 at the time, even if I now don't remember the name of the song.
Yeah, this was also almost my number 3. I ended up taking it out at the last minute, but it stands out just because it's not attempting to be another Spotify Digi track. And it reminds me of kind of Hey Brother from, is that Avicii? No.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? The beginning of it. Or like even the beginning of the Mon Zelmerlove Heroes, like that I'm gonna
kind
speak,
of country dance
country
genre.
pop dance.
There was a song in the Estonian selection last year that it really reminded me of as well. The Hurricane song, like kind of that country blues grassy kind of thing that's going on.
But my number 3 is actually Lhasa Melting Unfound. This is that Shawn Mendes-like number, guitar-y, but there's like a happiness to it. Like there's this happy element to it. The lyrics are like, when we're down on your filthy knees, begging me, baby, please. Like a treasure, like a lottery ticket in my hand. You know, I like the lyrics. I think they're clever, if if vulgar at times. So it's memorable. I think it's well produced. I can't remember the melody, which is another problem. I can't hum it for you, but I know that I had an instantly warm feeling. It kind of straddled teeny bop or pop, but it was very mature. And that makes no sense, but if you listen to it, you'll know what I mean, because it had like playful lyrics and it was saucy, but it still sounded chic and sophisticated and polished. Again, it's a Shawn Mendes song. Let's just call it out. And I'm kind of sick of hearing Shawn Mendes' songs. We just had Alejandro in, what was that country, Switzerland. But yeah, I'm sure there are more to come. On to our number 2, Padraig.
My number 2, and my top 2 are kind of a long way ahead of the pack as far as I'm concerned. And people are going to think I'm just going for the big names, but it's not. It's purely coincidence. But my number 2 is Deep Marie with Riot. And it's probably the most alive song in the selection because a lot of them kind of seem to have a fear of choruses. This one has a stomper of a chorus because like it's a real fist in the air going riot, riot, riot. And it's kind of cut from the same cloth as Polly Genova, If Love Was a Crime, in thematically. It's not as polished and it's a lot cheesier. It's not as modern sounding. It's kind of nearly Disney Channelified Polly Genova, If Love Was a Crime. But it is memorable, and even though it's not my number 1, it's probably got the strongest hook out of all of the songs, I think, in this selection. And another thing is we know from her previous efforts, I think it was 2012 when she was in before, that she can sing live and she can deliver a live stage show. A lot of these people are unknown, so we don't know what they're going to be like, so they could be even worse than on their studio efforts. So, yeah, it's a song, it's fun, and I wouldn't be upset if it went to Eurovision, and it's got kind of a moment in it, and a lot of these songs don't have a moment, and you need to have a moment if you want to win Eurovision.
I really wanted it to be really good because I love her 2012 effort. My problem with this song is it sounds so much like Rainmaker at points. There's loads of moments where I'm like, I was listening to it and like, what song is this like? And it just kept on being like, oh, it's Rainmaker. It's Rainmaker here. It's got that kind of Emily de Forest vibe, so it's not my number 2. My number 2 is Rasmussen with Higher Ground, which is absolutely ridiculous. It's so over the top. And not necessarily in a good way, but in a I remember it kind of way. Like there's a point where I think, oh, the song's over. Actually, no, it turns out that is the lead into the bridge, because then he sort of amps it up even more. It's kind of like some weird Viking theatrical musical moment. And he kind of looks a bit Viking-y. He's got a beard going on, I think, which is apparently my impression of Vikings. I think that you could see staging for this at Eurovision being so epic and so kind of what the fuck that people would vote for it. And Denmark have kind of proven that they need a hook. Like, Ian Neeson just kind of shouted at you for 3 minutes, but it kept you kind of involved. Like this, if he can deliver it live, then I think it could actually be something quite epic. Not necessarily in a great way, but in it will keep you watching, like you'll want to watch it kind of way. And that, I think, is probably good for Denmark. I don't know whether I like the song. I just like the idea of the song right now.
So I also pulled a Suzanne Adams with this one, because after a few seconds, I was like, he's going to slaughter a sheep. I need to move on. I don't want to see no blood. And so I clicked through, and that same violent darkness, Viking is the perfect description, kept coming through. So yeah, I give this a pass. All right, my number 2 is not Sanna Nielsen. It is Sani with Boys and Girls. My notes say Austin Powers. It sounds like a song you'd hear in the movie Austin Powers. Like, it's playful, it's very throwback, but I think this is retro done right. It's mixing lots of things. Like, I hear disco, I hear Icona Pop, I hear Club Kids of the 80s, I hear, what does that say? I hear Blur in the content Boys and Girls. I love the theme of homosexuality, same-sex relations, girl on girl, boy on boy. We've all been there. There's a spiritual quality to this. It's like, if there was a god of the club kids rather, they'd be singing this song. There's something about it. I like the Vocaloid effect, if that's the word, digitized. It can be hard to pull off live. It's a bit monotonous as well, but it stands out. It doesn't sound like another cookie-cutter Spotify song we've heard 17 times already this Eurovision cycle, so well done to her. All right, we move on to our number 1s. This is a big moment. Do not let us down. Porrick.
Well, my number 1 spot goes to the artist formerly known as Wakefield, aka Sani and Boys and Girls. Because it's a song, like, there's something quirky and special about it, I think. And it's not a million miles away from Ida Marie and Scandi Love, that it's the same kind of weird free love for everyone, and there's lots of references thrown in, and there's boys and boys and girls and girls and girls and boys and girls and everything in between. But she does it in kind of, she's not quite as over the top with her silliness as Ida Marie is, and I love Ida Marie's silliness. She's more restrained, but there's, like you said, there's lots of influences coming into it, and it's hard to place it in a certain period, because you're getting your 60s and then just kind of a bit of the 90s and the Cardigans, and it's kind of, it's a strange song as well, because it's kind of upbeat in a way, but she's singing very lethargically, but she's not sending you to sleep, and it's very kind of chilled out and relaxed, but yet you don't want to be sent to sleep, and you kind of want to listen to see what's going to happen next. And I think it would be a great addition to Eurovision, because I can't see anyone else coming up with a song similar to it. I know Ida Maria is similar thematically, but she sounds completely different. And I would love to see just the publicity that would happen, because it's a lot less annoying than the song that made Wakefield famous, Saturday Night. But the hook isn't as strong. It doesn't get stuck in your head. Like Saturday Night, I probably haven't heard it for 10 years, but yet I still can recall it instantly. But I think the publicity around that would be huge, because she was a big name back in the day. And I think she knows how. She was a former pop star, so, well, she still is a pop star, obviously, but she knows she'd know how to put on a show. And I'd be excited to see what she brings.
I think it's very clever in that it does have those kind of 90s references. You think of Blur, you think of the Cardigans, and that all kind of plays in, which places her in the, oh, remember me, I was in the 90s, I was famous in the 90s, but now I'm going to do something a bit more updated as well, and kind of throw in other influences. So, you kind of have a reference point for her anyway, and then it's like, but here's what I've done since then. Because so many times we get acts that come back in national finals like this, like, oh, I was a star 15 years ago, so I'm going to sing a song that sounds like it did 15 years ago. And this doesn't quite do that. It's got a reference, but it's not overt. It kind of sounds a bit Lana Del Rey-ish in that whole, like, upbeat sometimes but lethargic vocal. Like, she doesn't sound like Lana Del Rey. She's a bit quirky, it feels like. But I really like it. It is my number one as well. Probably should have said that at the beginning. But yeah, I really, really like it. It's the one that has been in my head since I heard the snippet this morning, and now I've heard the full version of it. It kind of goes around in that boys on boys, girls on boys, and that just keeps on going round in my head. And I can see that actually working in it. I think it would do really well, just sort of within not only Dance Melody Grand Prix, but I could see it qualifying for Denmark, because it has kind of got that hook, and people will maybe remember her. There will be publicity, and sometimes those are the little things you need to get. It is maybe a little bit too one note at times, and I do worry about the vocal because she is auto-tuned. Like there is definite auto-tune going on there, I think. But if that was just like unnecessary auto-tune, then I think it'll be fine. And I think that they'll have good staging for this. You can see how easy it would be to play on the boys and girls and the heterosexuality, homosexuality, whatever of you want. I can see that working really well on stage. So hopefully it all comes together on a Saturday night.
The reason this wasn't my number one is because it was a bit one note and I got bored going into the final minute, but they can mix it up visually on stage. My number one is Deep Marie with Riot. So I like the xylophone opening because it's very soft and like lures you in, and it's almost sweet. But then she gets real loud. She goes from this amazing pre-chorus to this riot of a chorus, and it wakes you up. It woke me up in this sea of like kind of same songs. Song of Emancipation. We're going to do it for ourselves, ladies. Spotify generic. You know, we've heard this before. Tropical house, more of it. I'm getting sick of the genre, even though it does make me happy. If they ever try to divide us or keep us apart, ... What do my notes say next? Oh, nothing else. I'm sure it was going somewhere. I guess that goes with the Emancipation. Look, I like the song. I think it's a complete song. I think some of the other songs have good ideas but don't execute them well, whereas this, there's a lot of thought, there's shape. It feels like a song, like a pop song that's going to fit in at Eurovision. And she can perform, so it's looking good. I'd be really happy if she went. I think that she would do a fantastic job live. Sani, I'm just not as sure because that song is so digitized. It's really hard to know. Sometimes I wish they would just release live performances from the get-go, because in Malta we got tricked into thinking all the songs were real bad, and then we heard them live and many of them were quite good, actually. Final thoughts. You don't agree. Final thoughts on Denmark.
There's just no originality, it feels like, in a lot of these songs. So many, it's like, this could be in anybody's national final. And, you look at the likes of Latvia, you look at Spain, these countries sort of have embraced, in some of their selections, they've embraced their kind of like national feeling, or you get a sense of that from some of the songs. This could have been an entry in Norway, this could have been an entry in Sweden, in Finland, in anywhere. So many of them could have just ended up anywhere. And it kind of feels like that's, I just wish whatever Denmark had going for them at the early part of this decade, they've just completely lost, and they've not found it again this year.
But that's kind of a typical complaint about the Danish selection, because when does a Danish song ever sound Danish? It doesn't. What I would say is that it's not living up to the hype, but it's better than Malta and it's better than Iceland.
Oh, that says a lot.
That's not a ranking endorsement.
To quote Deben Adarimi, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. This is another example of that. Well, that's what we think. What do you think? Is Denmark's selection living up to the hype the producers set forth? Do you think there's a Eurovision winner in this mix? What are your top 3 and your top 1? Let us know here on Wee Wee Blogs.
And whether you're a boy who likes boys or a boy who likes girls or a girl who likes girls or a girl who likes boys, hit subscribe.
And make sure to give us a like and don't start a riot.
We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.